A different type of survey that sometimes it's used is called semantic differential. It's used when you, especially you want to compare particular individuals. For example, in this picture, it shows two students being compared in terms of their viewpoints towards college. You can compare, like for example, one student see college as easier, the other one see it as more difficult. One student see it more exciting, and the other one see it as more boring. If you want to do a survey, a couple of tips may help you. First, don't forget demographic questions. That happens a lot. Students make a very good survey, but they don't ask any questions like age, gender, ethnicity, or parental information. And then at the end, when you ask them, like, did you see any difference between male and female, or did you see any difference in different ethnicities, or did you see any difference between like graduate and undergraduate students, they can't answer because they didn't ask for these kind of demographic questions. Sensitive questions should be placed in the middle of the survey. If you ask like sensitive and very personal and private questions at the beginning, they may not respond because they may see it as an invasion to their privacy. However, if you put these kind of questions in the middle, they may be more inclined to answer those kind of questions. Another recommendation is to put questions in groups when you have same general topics. For example, all questions about their family goes together, all questions about their school goes together, all questions about their friends go together. Avoid wordy or cluttered pages, especially if you're doing online survey, you're not worried about wasting papers. It's better to have a space between different questions, and the writing and the vocabulary that you use has to be very simple, so you make sure everybody understand your questions. In terms of sampling, yeah, while we know that the sample has to be random and representative, but also it's recommended that you send your survey to a relevant population. For example, if you're doing a survey about online teaching and online learning, probably it's better to send it to people who have taken at least one online course rather than sending it to the general population who have no idea what is online education or how does it look like. And of course, at the same time, you have to be careful not to restrict your sample. The way you send your survey to people matters. You have different options: mail survey, telephone survey, email survey, online forms, or in-person interviews. Each of them has their own characteristics and their own advantages and disadvantages. And this specific page in the textbook is very useful in terms of the strengths and weaknesses of each of these ways that you can do a survey. One thing that you need to specifically know is about the mail surveys. When you email people a survey and you expect them to fill out the survey and answer, you gotta know that they are worried about being identified if they use their email. So probably an online form might work better. And finally, we have usually in other textbooks, a case study has its own chapter. However, in this book, a case study is explained in this because there is a little bit difference between a case history and a case study. The most commonly application of case studies in clinical psychology and special education. So if you're dealing with a rare or unusual cases that you want to study in more depth, probably case study is going to be your choice. And also sometimes when you do research, you find some exceptions or some outliers in your survey. You want to do a case study to follow up on that and see what makes these cases an exception to the rule. For example, if you have a special treatment or a special teaching method that doesn't work for a particular student, you may want to do a case study to see why this treatment doesn't work for this specific student. The limitation of case study is first of all, because we are working on one person only, we're not able to generalize the results, and also there is a potential for bias and also potential for subjective interpretation when we're dealing with only one case or one individual. And of course there are some strengths for this method, which more importantly is that it gives us a chance for a detailed description of an individual, and usually it's very vivid and powerful and convincing when you are working on one specific individual and you report the results of your observation.